Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Rennch. On today's show, we are going to finish the restoration of the world's most hideous Porsche 911 dashboard. So if you guys don't know the saga of this dashboard, it's something that was in my car for many years, and it had a plastic cover over the top. I took the cover off, and it was absolute mayhem underneath. The whole corner was cracked. They had used adhesive from construction. It was like liquid nails to leave this thing on. Removing it completely destroyed the dashboard, and I'd actually thrown it away. It was behind my trash can for about a month. At some point I said, you know what, let me give it a go, and if I can restore this 911 dashboard, then great, and if not, then I'll just buy a new one. So I'd never done anything like this before, and I read up on some stuff on some forums. If you haven't seen the previous video of bringing this thing back from the dead, go watch that. If I can figure out how to make it clickable here, click somewhere and watch that video. It just says the world's most hideous Porsche dashboard. But this video is about the process of covering it with vinyl and getting it ready for the car. So it's been in my car now for 1.5 years. It still looks great. I'm better now than I was then at covering vinyl. So I think I would even do a better job now. But in the grand scheme of things, I probably have like 6 to 8 hours into this particular dashboard. And when you think about it, these Porsche 911 dashboards they're metal with foam with vinyl, and all of that is pretty repairable. If you have a welder or some rust remover, you can fix the metal. Foam is foam, and as you'll see from the previous video, you can mold it. I used the I wonder if I have some of it over here. Right here. I used this stuff. I used great stuff, which is what you'd use, you know, in your house. You take this stuff and fill the big holes with it, then cut it off, and then sand it down and prepare it for paint, or in this case, vinyl. Now, I will say, for this particular video, I did this, I don't know, 1.5 years ago. I didn't have a YouTube channel yet. I didn't film it with very good cameras. I didn't have my fancy camera yet, so the recording quality is not that great. It's kind of dim. I did it at night, but you get the gist of it. It should be okay. I'm sorry about the contrast between this video, which is on my sweet new camera, and that video. Anyway, so let's dig into it, and we'll see you after it's done. All right, so what I've decided to do is I've thrown a clamp on the section where I want the dash to stay. So I've just thrown a clamp there to make sure the vinyl doesn't shift. And I'm going to do that in a couple of different spots. So I can see right now, you know, this needs to have relief. These corners I can already feel. And then same thing here on the inside. I'm seeing that on the inside of the, like where all your dash instruments will be, this thing also needs to be cut. I can pull it under here, and I can see the tension. I can see the tension all right in here, right? So this is going to need some relief cuts just so I can get the thing to lay straight. What and how far, I don't know yet. I'm just feeling the part where it's the most tense, and I'm actually just literally going to slice it with a razor blade, and I'll do the same thing on the other side here. All right, so there's a couple of relief cuts, and that's good, that's good, that's good. These will get more pronounced as I get closer to covering that particular section. But I can't really do it until we're kind of glued down. So I'm just right now, I'm kind of feeling the dash for where the vinyl is really stretched out and tense. I'm just making a little slit. Like right there is still pretty bad. What I don't want to do though is go so far that you'll be able to see the cut once it's finished. And then I can roughly see where the vents are going to go. And I'm just making a rough cut of the vinyl in the general shape of the dash right now. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm gonna start working on gluing down this back section, which is the main flat section. And as I get closer to, these compound curves, I'll be able to, have a few more relief cuts. With these dashes, you wanna leave a little bit of extra vinyl on the outside, because that's actually what the windshield seal will go into. So it makes for a really nice interface, and it'll seal your windshield really well. The thing with contact adhesive is it needs each side to be wet. So you've got to hit the dash itself, and you have to hit the vinyl, give it a couple seconds, and apply it. So it's got to, and I say a couple seconds, by a couple seconds I mean it sometimes takes a little while. You need, sometimes a minute or so. This is one of those things where you want to use just enough, but not a ton. So my plan is going to be I'll glue this part down and then get this seam dialed in, and then I'll go back, lift it from the other side, and work on the front. I'm making sure that every single edge is covered, and we should be good to go on the flats here. Now I'm going to hit the vinyl itself. Cool thing about this contact adhesive is that it does give you a couple shots. Like, you don't have to be perfect. You can sit it up and move it if you need to. It doesn't have to be totally perfect. Making sure I go edge to edge on this as well, because we want this thing to stick. I might be doing this backwards, but we'll soon find out. So what I'll do here is I'll kind of lift. I can release these clamps in the front, because I need to be able to lift this thing up. This thing's not going to go anywhere now because it's fairly secure on that side. I'm going to make sure that this thing is nice and smooth and wrinkle free as I adhere it. I'm going to go around the horn here. So now I'm going to work on the seam. And to do that, I'm just going to pull it up a little bit and make sure that this thing is all the way up and folded in. I'm just working my fingers all the way into this corner here so that it's sharp. And I have this little tool I brought, and I'm literally watching it. I'm seeing how this thing's laying. It looks like I need a little bit more glue for this bottom seam here. No big. We got some time. Now, suppose if I were going to do this again, I could kind of map out where the dash is going to hit, so I don't have to just go, wild with with a guess, basically. I'm gently working this corner. It's not ready yet. I can tell. You can tell the contact cement is like really hard, like it's really grippy. That's what we're looking for. So I am really pushing my fingers right into this seam to make it really nice. So what I want to do is get this thing to lay flat on the dash first, and then I can kind of go back later and trim it out. Instantly sort of starting to think I might need a relief cut somewhere coming up, or to hit it with my heat gun, because this thing doesn't want to be curved like I'm curving it. So we're pretty good through here. I'm really happy with how this looks here, but I'm not happy with where it looks. I haven't done the top part yet here. So I gotta do this corner over here a little bit. That's all right. I'm gonna make sure that we're solid on the rest of it. It sits well. I've got a nice shape. And I can kind of make a couple of relief cuts here. I see it. See where it's gonna lay now a little better. And I'm doing kind of a 45-degree angle from the corner. So I've got a pretty good seam here. This is a challenging little corner. I think what I'm gonna do is hit this a little bit with the heat gun. Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. So I'm just realizing that a slightly better way to do this would have been to actually have the glue ready for the entire top, because once I got this corner dialed in, I actually had to peel it back just to get the glue onto the top. So I'm just hitting with the heat gun right now. Patience is the virtue here. To get this thing really nice and smooth, you got to be patient with it. Heat gun is definitely your friend, I'm discovering. You don't need to tuck everything under and get it all finished yet. For right now, you just want the thing to be sitting flat on all the surfaces, and that's where I am with this. Let's look at it this way for a while. I'm gonna hit this underside, hit the front, make sure all this part is really well glued because it's got to hang on for dear life. So right now what I know is it's pretty smooth on top. This part I need help with, and on the face here. So I'm gonna dial in this part right now. And this I feel like is gonna need a little bit of heat love as well. This is almost like doing like a car wrap. This vinyl actually has some stretch built into it. It's called two-way stretch vinyl. So that matters, that's super helpful. This thing needs multiple relief cuts, but I have no idea how they get it. So I'm gonna have to hit this thing with the heat gun to get it to really curve down the way we want it to. Let me get that corner. Heat gun's pretty necessary, folks. You really want to soften up this vinyl. It just melts over it when you do it with the heat gun. That's good, that's good. This one feels good. It's curving well. Make sure this is nice and sharp. I'm gonna really give this centerpiece a nice stretch. You can kind of use your fingers as a brace. And you're seeing how much time I have here. It's pretty good in terms of how much time you can give this vinyl. So I've got these two complex corners right here. I got this beast and I've got this piece. I'm going to tackle this one first. I'm working on this piece here, which is tricky, obviously. I'm kind of doing it until I smell a little bit of burning rubber. This might be something I have to clamp. That is a possibility here. With the heat, look at that, it settles right in. It gets right in there. And this one I might have trimmed back just a hair too much, but I think it's gonna be okay. Again, this is just full-on amateur upholstery here. It's coming out pretty good. Looks like it's happy in its new home. We'll continue to work it, press it into the corner, and then let's work on the Big Daddy-O. Undoubtedly, this will need a ton of heat to work. This is so many complex curves, and my glue's dry. Making sure that I get the glue on all the part where it wraps around as well, because that's the thing that's going to really keep it in place once I do get it to where it's supposed to be. So the reason I'm deciding to do this is because even though this thing was trashed, new dashboards go from $1,300 to $2,000. I'm gonna have about 4.5 hours and $100 into this thing. It's not rocket science, so why don't we give it a shot, you know? Here's a little zoom of this section that I'm trying to do. It is slightly complicatory, as no one says. Come on, baby. Get in there. So close you are. All right, this is going to be a job for the barge cement. I can't make this stuff work. So going with the big boys. So I'm looking for better adhesion on the actual dash itself. I'm hoping the barge will give me that. I'm not happy with this corner totally yet, so it's one of those things where you don't want to live with it forever, you know? I think I'm being a little impatient with my glue. All right, so I'm on the final bit of trim. I finally got that corner to work. It took me a few times to get it right, but I'm pretty happy with the result. I think it looks pretty good. I am very close. I just have this one corner on this side left, and I've already put the cement on it, and what I'm doing is I'm basically trying to get it to lay down flat and allow me to kind of finish this corner. So I'm stretching all this stuff over the edge and just letting it curl over. I'm making sure this face, which is the face that everyone's going to see, is dialed in. And I've got cement on the important parts here. So I'm trimming with more precision now to get this thing to lay perfectly flat where I want it to. And that means I'm just sort of stretching it over the edge, getting it to push down, and I'm trimming out the excess because I don't need all this stuff hanging over. We're looking. That looks pretty damn fantastic, especially considering where I started. I mean, this thing was a train wreck. It's not perfect. I can see, you know, that this was my first dash recovering, but I feel really proud that it turned out the way it did. Here, let me back up a little bit. Well, here we are with the finished product, and I couldn't be happier. This thing started out as a complete and utter train wreck, and now I am proud to put it in my car. A couple more mechanical things to fix on it, but I feel really good about this project. It was a bit advanced. It did require a lot of patience, but not a lot of tools. You know, it was just more labor and sanding and taking my time to make sure that I had smooth surfaces. So you can definitely do this if you have some cracks in your dashboard. It'll certainly be easier than this one was. This was basically to show you what you can do if you have the worst case scenario. So pretty cool that, you know, with a little bit of effort and some ingenuity, you can pretty much repair anything on these cars. So I hope you learned a lot in this one. I learned a lot by doing it. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to grow this thing into awesomeness. And so get out there, drive your car, and we'll see you next time.